Hi, my name is Julianne, also known as Roadrunner. I thru hiked the Appalachian Trail in 2022, and on my thru hike I saw something that I don't know what it was. I thought it was an animal, and it probably was an animal, but it was something that I had never seen before. And so after having been home for several months now, for some reason, I started thinking about this thing that I saw, and I tried to do some research in what it could have possibly have been. I did record my reaction immediately after I saw the creature that I saw, and here's a clip about the description. So I just saw an animal, I think. I heard some rustling, and then I looked to my left, and I saw a big, long, feathery tail. I'm like, what's that? Is that like a turkey or something? And then I see the shadow of it. So not actually the actual body, but the shadow looks like a dog. So what kind of animal was that? I should probably be a little bit more clear about the actual tail that I saw. And that was actually the only physical thing that I saw in detail, and it was a enormously large tail, and it looked like feathers. So this was not just a bushy tail or anything that's kind of connected to something like a fox. It was feathery looking. It was black and it had white tips around it, and it was enormous. So I instantly was surprised as in what could this possibly have been. And I continued to look. I didn't even think about recording it. I feel like it's so strange, you know, I'm a YouTuber and a vlogger, and I was just so startled by what I saw that I didn't even think of recording it. But anyway, I saw only the back of it, so I only saw the tail end of it, literally. And it went into the bushes or the trees, and it was at a high setting, and I saw it moving through the trees or bushes. It looked like there was a path somewhere, maybe another trail, and it moved like a dog. It moved like it had this kind of movement that you see when a dog not runs, but kind of trots or gallops. I think it would be easy just to say that it was a dog, but I just don't think that any dog. I've done all the research I could in trying to see what kind of dog would have the tail that I saw, and it just wasn't a dog. So the next thing that I decided to do is look at the actual animals or some of the recommendations that I got from my subscribers, or suggestions that I saw that my subscribers gave me. One of them was a fox, and I looked at a fox, and the tail could be maybe a fox, but the colors were simply not a fox, and the size of the animal was larger than a fox. It was the size of probably a German Shepherd, if I could size it, just because it was at a quite of a distance, and I didn't know kind of the size ratio of how far this was, but I would have estimated this to be like a German Shepherd size. So a fox was not an option. The other thing that I had been suggested to by people during Trail Magic said that it could have been a fisher cat. And so I didn't even know what that was, and so I looked it up. It was definitely not a fisher cat. I didn't think that the size of a fisher cat resembled that of the size that I saw. Plus, I couldn't find any kind of fisher cat with a black tail with white feathery tips. I did do some more Googling, and I did see one picture of a fisher cat that was extremely large. And maybe that would have been close to the size, but I do believe that this animal or creature was even larger than that. The next option was either a coyote or a wolf, and while the size of the animal definitely represented that more of a wolf than a coyote, the tail is ultimately what I have to say
does not resemble a tail of a wolf. It would be really easy to just say that maybe I didn't get a good look, but I got a pretty good look at the tail, and the tail was what I know the most details about. I couldn't give you more descriptions about the body just because I saw only kind of like a shadow of the body, but the tail is, I know what this tail looked like, and that was definitely not that one of a wolf. So not a wolf, not a foxtrot, there I am, I'm the dancer. So not a wolf, not a fox, and not a fisher cat. The only other animal that was suggested because of my description of the tail was a skunk. And after looking at skunk tails, I'd have to say it's probably the closest to a skunk tail. The only problem is that if this was a skunk, then I probably have seen the largest skunk in the world. It was too large to be a skunk. Also, I don't think it moved like a skunk. When I was through hiking, actually one night when we night hiked, we came across a skunk, and I was able to observe the way it moves a little bit better, and it was not a skunk. The way it moved was not a skunk, but the tail probably the closest to a skunk. And so with all my options out with regard to what I saw, I went into the rabbit hole of mythical creatures, and there might be one that I found that it could be, but again, you never know. I'm sure I saw an animal, but just for the sake of fun and for review, I wanted to go over the different creatures or mythical creatures that people have claimed to have seen on the Appalachian Trail. So let's have a look at those.
Let's dim the lights and add some creepy music, and here we go. Appalachian culture is known for superstitions and legends. While they may not be as widely practiced today, these myths and mountain folklore were passed down by countless generations. Simply Google search Appalachian creatures and you will find multiple options to influence your imagination. The most popular creature claimed to have been spotted is that of the Bigfoot. Bigfoot, also commonly referred to as Sasquatch, is a purported ape-like creature said to inhabit the forests of North America. Bigfoot is most often described as a large, muscular, ape-like creature covered in black, dark brown, or dark reddish hair. An anecdotal description estimates a height of roughly 1.8 to 2.7 meters, which is 6 to 9 feet, with some descriptions having the creature standing as tall as 3 to 4.6 meters or 10 to 15 feet. Some alleged observations describe Bigfoot as more man-like, with reports of a human-like face. So, definitely not what I saw. Moving on to the Mothman. Made famous by a 1997 episode of The X-Files and the 2002 film The Mothman Prophecies, the Mothman is a fearsome creature with broad wings and red eyes who originated in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. The story of the Mothman began on November 15, 1966, where two couples, Roger and Linda Scarberry and Steve and Mary Mallette, reported seeing a large flying humanoid with a 10-foot wingspan and glowing red eyes following their car. Also, not my guy. I saw a dog-like creature, not a human creature. The Wendigo or Wendigo is part of the traditional belief system of a number of Algonquin-speaking peoples. Although descriptions can vary somewhat, the common view is that the Wendigo is a malevolent, cannibalistic, supernatural being. They were strongly associated with winter, the north, coldness, and starvation. The Algonquin described the Wendigo as a giant with a heart of ice. Sometimes it is thought to be entirely made of ice. Its body is skeletal and deformed with missing lips and toes. Once again, definitely not a skeletal beast that I saw, and I can't tell if it was missing any lips, but it was definitely moving, not like a humanoid. And then I came across the Dweo, sometimes called the snarly owl. This mammalian is said to be hairy, have a bushy tail, and is sometimes bipedal. At times it has features similar to a wolf, and some describe it even as being similar to a werewolf. Many people do not believe that it exists, but there are several sightings of this creature.
This is about as close as I could get to a description of what I saw. Unfortunately, I cannot find a detailed explanation of the tail, so I would have to say that this is also not a match. So what do you think? What did I see? Was it a bird, a dog, a giant skunk, or was it a figment of my imagination? I guess I'll never know. Thank you so much for watching. Just so you know, I post hiking and Appalachian Trail related information almost weekly, and if that is your sort of thing, kindly consider subscribing.